Everybody, and welcome to Traders Espresso for Tuesday, March 6th, 2018. And the story of the day, trade war fears seem to be easing. Equities around the globe have rallied on the easing of those fears. The U.S. indices were able to put together a two-day winning streak. So it was 2 days up, 3 days down. Now it's 2 days up so far. The way the futures are pointing, it looks like it's going to be a third day up. The U.S. futures were all pointing higher when I looked at it earlier this morning. I got to tell you, I think that this is just whistling past the graveyard. Investors are just whistling past the graveyard. You know, Ray Dalio came out and dismissed the trade war talk as just political show. You know, Gary Cohn is making some show. Maybe it's a show. Maybe it's a sincere effort of. It was putting together some kind of a summit or meeting or something like that. You know, in advance of the trade tariffs being signed. You know, on the other hand, Goldman Sachs has come out and said it's going to hurt the economy, and say they seem to be taking it seriously. The European Union has retaliated, not officially, but they have compiled a list of U.S. products that are going to be hit with a tariff and retaliation. You know, what was on the list? Blue jeans and U.S. bourbon whiskey and a couple of other things. Trump has come out and said, well, then we'll put a tariff on European auto imports. So maybe it's just political show. Maybe it's not. I don't know if I would be that cavalier about it. Nevertheless, the market's doing what they're doing, and you got to trade the markets as they present themselves to you. So right now it seems like the direction is up. You know, futures are up, VIX is down, the U.S. dollar is down 0.6%. The 10-year yield, the index on the 10-year yield, Treasury yield is flat unless that's just not updating. Gold is up considerably. The dollar index is, I already said dollar index. Crude oil is up. This crude oil futures are up 0.6%. So, you know, let's kind of see where that leaves us by turning back to the chart here on the indices. So, again, this is the chart detailing the trend channel, which was drawn on a monthly chart, and then the Fibonacci retracement, which was drawn from the bottom set at the beginning of 2016 to the most recent high set on January 26th. And the S&P is above the 23.6 retracement level. It's above the 84 period or the 90 period moving average. It's above the 250 period moving average. It's right at the 10 and 25. So that's as of yesterday's close. Okay. Let's take a look at the Dow. The Dow is painting a similar picture, except it not quite hit these two moving averages. And it doesn't look like the Dow rally has been as powerful as the S&P rally. The NDX has been stronger than the other indices. It did not drop as low as the other indices did. Its recovery, therefore, looks, or not, shouldn't say recovery, but where it is now, looks relatively different. It's a lot closer to its recent high than any of the other indices are right now. It's above the 25 period MA, it's above the 10 period MA. So the NDX and the composite, by extension, are looking like the strongest plays right now. But, you know, a rising tide is going to lift all ships. All the indices are going up. It's just that the NASDAQ has been relatively stronger. And the Russell as well. Probably not on a percentage basis. Doesn't look like it's as close to its recent high as the Dow, as the Nasdaq is. But we're seeing this convergence here, which you're not seeing in any of the other indices. That's a function of recent weakness and recent strength, pulling these moving averages together, so they're bunching up. Usually when you see something like that, it portends a powerful move. This could be a powerful move to the upside if it stays above these indices. If we see the 10-period MA start to turn above the 25, if we see the 25 start to turn above the 90, that would be a good signal for the Russell. So, in terms of if you want to play the strength, strength is favoring right now the Nasdaq and the Russell. Not that you couldn't play the S&P or the Dow. It's just that those are the two relatively strongest right now. And the reason why the Russell has been the strongest makes sense because it's not believed that trade wars would harm smaller to medium-sized businesses. Having said that, if what we're seeing is a relief rally in the Dow, then it's possible that the Dow, if what we're seeing is a relief rally because of the fact that investors are not as worried about the possibility of a trade war, that would have hit the Dow stocks, multinational corporations potentially would have hit the Dow stocks the most. So you might expect to see, even though what we're seeing in the futures right now isn't indicating that, you might expect to see a more powerful rally in the Dow. We're just not seeing it right now. So as of the numbers that we're looking at right now, it looks like from the futures perspective, the Nasdaq is the strongest, the Russell is behind it, and then the Dow, and then the S&P is kind of lagging, but it's still up. Gold is up. That is a function of the fact, most likely, that the dollar index is down. Although gold is up more powerfully than we've seen it on dollar weakness, so there could be some fundamentals associated with that. I'm not exactly sure what those fundamentals would be. There really isn't any fear trade driving people into gold as a safe haven. North Korea, in fact, came out and announced that they would be, or they signaled, because they're summiting with the South Korean delegation right now, signaled that they would be willing to sit down with the U.S. and talk about denuclearization. That is something that in all the heated rhetoric going back and forth over the last year or so, North Korea has not even been willing to come out and say. They've said, we need these weapons, we need to protect ourselves against the United States. Now they're saying, we'd be willing to sit down and talk about denuclearization. You know what? We've all seen this. Pardon me for being skeptical. We've seen this movie before. The North Koreans make a show of beefing up their nuclear arsenal, and then they sit down with the U.S. or delegation, people from the UN or whatever, and talk about denuclearization and the price tag. There's always a price tag attached. So basically, my view, and maybe I'm just cynical, is this is just another North Korean shakedown. Extort a little bit more money from the international community. They'll stay quiet for a year or two, and then they'll start up all over again. So I don't know that. I think part of this market rally has to do with that. Again, I don't really buy it. I don't believe it. But you got to trade what the market's doing, and that's what the market is doing. So that's kind of the wrap up here, and I will see you on the live stream in just a few minutes. Thanks for checking in.